Ladies and gentlemen, this is the time we've been waiting for. Yeah, I am happy people are coming in. I want to say you're welcome. And before we go any further, I would like us to start with a prayer. I am seeing Reverend Mukundane Charis. Reverend Mukundane Charis, may you please lead us in a prayer. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon.
Good
As I've been asked, let me lead you in a word of prayer, then we'll continue. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this beautiful afternoon. We thank you for having made this to come to this day. We appreciate, Lord, your presence. We appreciate your encouragement to every one of us, Heavenly Father, and we pray that you give the knowledge to all the participants, the main speakers, and all that are doing everything to make sure this program becomes very successful. We thank you, Lord. We glorify your holy name, through Jesus Christ, our Lord.
Amen. Wow, that's a very good start. This is Bishop Stuart University Open Online Debate, 6th of October 2020, and this is the time. We never wanted to have any minute delayed. This house believes institutions of learning should embrace technology in the education process as a remedy to COVID-19 negative repercussions. Ladies and gentlemen, I am happy you've come in time, and therefore you have the opportunity to listen to the rationale of the debate. COVID-19 pandemic has caused a lot of hurdles in the normal education system globally. Using Uganda as a case study, a lot of institutions have been negatively shaken, not only in having some of their stakeholders infected or affected, but also in losing the momentum to prove strong and standing. As a matter of principle, some institutions have closed completely, and some have expressed their inability to open due to several changes as proposed and directed by the concerned ministries. As a matter of necessity, technology was thought of as being readily able to help these institutions maneuver through this tough and hectic situation resiliently. This idea didn't go unfought. A lot of concerned citizens have hugely staged a war against e-learning as one of the elements of technology-facilitated initiatives, arguing that some learners do not have the necessary gadgets, and some saying some learners come from remote areas where digital networks can't be smartly accessed. Ladies and gentlemen, for how long shall I live in a grass-thatched house simply because the whole village is poor? For how long shall we accept to be declared juveniles by our legislators? Can't institutions of learning amicably interact with technology? The government of Uganda, through Makerere University Research and Innovations Fund, facilitates this yet to be wonderful debate, and Bishop Stuart University hosts it on this day of 6th month of October, year 2020, to convincingly prove to the country on whether or not this idea is worth our urgent attention and implementation. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome our keynote speakers. For our keynote speakers, I am great you've come in time, and therefore you will need to test your microphones by saying hello to us after I've mentioned your name. I am sorry, Anyway, I pray to pronounce some titles very well. I was warned never to mispronounce what I've not achieved yet. Professor Maud Kamatenes Mujisha, in bracket, they put PhD. People that have reached there know what this means. The Vice Chancellor, Bishop Stuart University, and co-principal investigator in this project. Prof, you're highly welcome. Praise God.
Praise him. Praise God, members, and praise God. I'm Professor Mauda Kamatenis Mujisha, Vice Chancellor of Bishop Stuart University and co-PI of this project.
Thank you. Thank you very much. For that one, you know very well, I won't speak much. We have Dr. Peace Musimenta, School of Women and Gender Studies, Makerere University, and most interestingly, the principal investigator in this project. Doctor, you're welcome. Doctor, okay, I hope she'll be with us in just a flash. As I continue, Professor Semakra Edward, this one is the coordinator, graduate studies, Bishop Stuart University. You can say hi, Professor, I can see you. You're welcome.
Oh, thank you. Hi, I greet everybody. Thank you so much for the arrangement.
Thank you. There I confirm your microphone is clear and loud. We have Mr. Eric Batulagomoshabe. He is not an English teacher, but rather a teacher of English. I hope I have it right. At Ntare School, Mbarara, and most importantly here, in this case, he's the patron debate society in Ntare School. You're welcome, sir.
Thank you very much, Mr. Crispus.
Yes, thank you very much. We have Mr. Primus Vahiji. This is the head of Global Platforms, Action Aid Uganda, and the founder of Vision Leaders Forum. May I listen to my senior? Primus? Okay. Later on, we'll be joined by Mr. Fajil Mandi, a former chairman, UNAIB, and that is Uganda National Examinations Board, and a renowned educationist and a consultant. I hope we know him very well. I want to ascertain whether Dr. Peace Musimenta is already in the house. Is she with us yet? Oh. Dr. Peace Musimenta, would you please? Okay, we are, I'm certain.
Can you hear me?
Well, we can get you.
Okay, thank you very much. Now I'm with you, right. But I was hearing you even before.
Oh, that is quite well. So I am happy that you're part of us. You're very good. You caused this happen, and therefore I wouldn't want to continue without your presence.
Oh.
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much. Meanwhile, we are waiting for Fajil and Mr. Primus, that I'm sure will join us shortly. But of course, we don't want to squander any minute, and therefore we shall continue and start right away.
I am in.
Ladies, oh, I am Primus. Primus.
Yes.
All right. You say hi to us. I'm happy you're with us now.
Thank you very much. I'm trying to put on my video. I hope it's loading to start.
Okay. Yeah, that's enough. I am happy you're with us.
Yeah, thank you very much.
I want to say we have 90% of our panelists with us, and therefore we are good to go. I want to recognize members in the audience. I can see very many people. You are very welcome. And I want to say you also have a chance. So organize a presentation. You have a chance and you will have your submissions heard. So I want to go to instructions for any activity to go on smoothly. There must be serene instructions that people must accept to abide. And for the panelists, we have 15 minutes and definitely uninterrupted. And for the audience, we want to keep this interesting in a way that when panelists are submitting, you have the opportunity to go to your Q&A tab and you shoot questions to a certain presenter. Is there anything that puzzled you? Well, you are sorted. You have a provision. I hope you can see it right on your screens. And that is Q&A. And therefore, you have the opportunity to ask a question or shoot any idea there. Could be a clarification, you're supplementing, you are opposing, we are welcoming you. You have the opportunity to do that. And the panelists will come later. We shall reserve a few minutes at the end, and the panelists will come to react to some of the questions people will have asked. And if anything, if you find it worth as a panelist, after you've submitted and maybe your fellow panelists are submitting, you can still hit Q&A and you answer questions right there. I'll be able to guide. We didn't not to leave any question unanswered because we have the answers here. Ladies and gentlemen, should we believe that technology is the only way to usher us to the pregnant tomorrows we are looking at as institutions? Oh yes, that's my take. And that is why I say this house believes that technology is the best alternative. Would you want to have a diversionary notion? For the audience, you will have 4 minutes uninterrupted. There you will be able to give and build new arguments. And if maybe there is certain clarification which you didn't want to type in Q&A, but you wanted the opportunity to raise it right here, you will have the opportunity after the panelists. I hope we are well to go. Ladies and gentlemen, I will call her the chief host. She's the head of the institution, Bishop Stuart University. And therefore, I will welcome our first panelist, and that is Professor Maud Kamatenis Mujisha. Professor, you are welcome, and we are eagerly waiting to listen right from you. My name is Munzira Crispus. I don't have a poor CV, and neither do I have a rich one. But nevertheless, I am the moderator today. You're welcome, Professor.
Thank you very much, Mr. Munzira Crispus, for that wonderful introduction and for welcoming all of us panelists and for coordinating and arranging this debate. As I've already been introduced, I am Professor Maud Kamatenis Mujisha, the Vice Chancellor of Bishop Stuart University. And this debate, we are together with Makerere University and particularly Dr. Peace Musimenta, who is also going to present. And this research or this project has been supported by government of Uganda through research at innovations in Makerere University And we are very glad that Bishop Stuart University was considered as co-partners and hosts. Bishop Stuart University has a memorandum of understanding with Makerere University. So whatever you see, we are working very closely, and we are very grateful for this. Today's debate is particularly targeting the public of where our students are and where all of us academic practitioners, as well as parents and students and all well-wishers are. So our topic basically today is derived from the core theme, which is about public sensitization on virtual learning adaptability as a tool to boost post-COVID-19 education system in Uganda. And therefore, with this major title, you can see our interest is to publicize and to notify the public and to bring a consensus on board from all of us that COVID has come here to stay, and we must learn how to do things the right way under the new normal. And why the word adaptability? When schools were beginning, or when we were in school, the first thing would be a uniform and books. You must have a kid going to school, must have a uniform and books. But now in the new normal with the COVID pandemic, the new school uniform is now a computer and a smartphone. That is something that is very challenging when you say this to someone who has never touched a smartphone, someone who has never even seen a computer. How do we do it? We cannot just start from nowhere. We must really sensitize people, let them get to know of what is happening. Therefore, as BSU and as part of the project team, we are happy to let you know that with the COVID lockdown and pandemic that is already grappling the entire world, of course, you are all in the know that the president of the world, Donald Trump Bush, and the first lady, the president of the United States of America, has already been put down by COVID. British, UK, the president was down by COVID, and several other leaders. Now, what do you want to see? Do you want to see people of great importance leaving this world? No. So what do? We have to adopt. And education, it is important to note that 73.5% of the world student population has been directly immobilized. They are at home and directly affected. For Uganda, 15 million students or school-going age children and young adults have already been directly affected by COVID. And in Uganda, we can say most of the institutions were hit, right from the universities up to nursery, and even to non-formal sectors where education was taking place. So what do we do as a country? We must do something. Support government. The president has been making appeals, Ministry of Education, Ministry of Health. They have put in standard operating procedures. They have encouraged people to do things the right way, social distancing, washing hands, wearing a mask. We are trying, but education sector where you congregate very many people, there are some procedures that will not work properly. Like, for example, wearing a mask the whole day, the whole week, now a whole month, 3 months down the road, or 5 months. It is just something that is very impractical. We can try, but there are high chances of failing. So this research or this project is trying to look at the new ways of how best we can move on. And as a country right now, Ministry of Education at National Council for Education, let me go to the universities where we are that have been affected. We had to adopt what we call online education, online teaching. And how do you go to online teaching? We had to change our programs to be adopted online teaching. And how do you go about it? We had to start sensitizing our staff, and our staff now are being retooled to join online teaching. Now what is on is to bring our students online, and we train them, we retool them, and enable them to access teaching and learning online. So now what we are on, National Council for Education had to give us standard benchmarks on what we can do as far as what we call ODER, that is open distance e-learning. And I'm glad in this forum at this time, as Bishop Stuart University, which is hosting, let you know that we have already been certified to run our programs, 89 programs online. This is a very big achievement. What does that mean? We were only allowed to open for finalists who are reporting on 15th of October in 1 week's time. But because of a day, the whole university is going to open, meaning that all our students who are at home, they are all now going to get a chance to continue their academics. And therefore, we want to look at secondary schools, because once the ones we have here have gone, we must get students in secondary schools joining senior 6. Therefore, ODER is the way to go right now. We must sensitize schools, sensitize the parents, and we move on. And even the learner themselves must be sensitized. So, Mr. Monzera and members, I want to say we are now moving in the right direction. What do we want now? What we want is for us to adopt online teaching or virtual learning uptake. We want it increased and accessed by all, not for only a smaller section, the so-called the rich. No, it's not the rich. This is an issue of now knowing what to do, and we shall do it. If the new uniform is there, we can arrange churches, we can arrange mosques, we can go to schools, and the kids in the same village, for example, can congregate and learn online, rather than letting them stay at home. Not forgetting the gender divide. If we talk about the gender divide, this is very serious as far as technology uptake is concerned. And of course, as a lady, I cannot forget to say where I've come from. You need to know that many girls have already been married off at a very young age. Some have already abandoned school. Others have gotten married when they are studying in a pretense that they will continue studying. Who knows, when you are a mother, motherhood has challenges. Some of them have already given birth. Others are pregnant. Now, you know, a younger mother who is no education, where are they going? And even online now, even if someone is already pregnant, if they give birth, they can still continue online, meaning they can access their secondary, they can access the university education. And therefore, what do we need now? We are engaging the youth, we are engaging the public, and all of us, that may we join government and we embrace online teaching, and we look at the global trends and be part of the global current world, where digital age, we are in the 4th industrial revolution, where computers, artificial intelligence, and the smartphones is normal. So we no longer have to start saying this is for the rich, it is for all of us. I want to thank you all for joining, and I want to pray that all employees and employers who are also listening, I believe some of the jobs which are yet to come, we are going to work online. Therefore, we better adopt ARE, teach online, work online, stay safe, and move out when we must go out in order to keep healthy and strong. I thank you very much for listening. Our God reigns for good in my country.
Wow. Wow. My friend told me, I had visited him in Kampala. He told me one art of being a good visitor is to know when to leave. And I know, as far as speech is concerned, one way of being a good speaker is to know when to finish. Wow, I really loved this. I hope she's voted the best time manager. However, this doesn't stop Alon Ainomujisha from shooting a question to the Vice Chancellor. Professor, I have a question.
Yes, please.
Which I would want you to respond to. You have 2 minutes and I would want you to utilize them as well.
Yes.
To what extent have the parents or guardians been involved or engaged in this transformation, since many are sources of funding for the students, especially in this COVID-19 situation? He continues, how best can this be achieved with many parents already financially overburdened? That is Ainomujisha Alon, head of news department, 91.2 Cruise FM, and the founder, Race Against Poverty organization. Be confident. That's the question, Professor.
Thank you very much. It's a very nice question, and actually it is a very topical question. I would like to say, the reason why we are here, we are engaging the public, of which I know our public parents are listening, some of the students are listening, and we have not stopped there. We started, before we came to debate, we started going to radios, of which Cruise FM was one of the radios we went to and had sensitization there. And the team and the people who are in the public, they asked us questions like what you are hearing. We want to revive a radio. We had to engage parents, and many of them were actually positive, but their worry was like, how do we get this thing? And right now, as I speak, as I'm in this meeting, Bishop Stuart University right now, we are engaging parents who are also farmers, writing MOUs of our students who are going to do practicals to access internship on their farms in industry. This is actually one of the key things that the new normal must bring on board. We must have MOUs where our students will go for internship. Let it be a school, let it be an industry, let it be a business, let it be a farm, wherever you are going, so that we know where you are, and in any case, to ensure you are safe and you get the right information. What would be key that is now very paramount? The farmer or the industry team leader or the supervisor is the one who supervises you, is your professor. You will not start saying, I started, I have a PhD, or I have a master's, or I'm on bachelor's. How can someone who has studied P7 supervise me? They will supervise you because they have the practical skills. They have the knowledge in their own language. You will learn it, and then the university supervisor will transform what is happening. There will be Zoom meetings, there will be teachings, and we have already gone online. You will ask questions online as we are. So which means the parents, it is your role and my role and every Ugandan role to sensitize them on how to go online. Acquisition of materials and tools, you know, that's a challenge. But as we are talking now, universities, including Makerere University, who are actually our main partners, they have already saturated the form for those who want to purchase gadgets. That this question is actually needs address to any parent, and the university will facilitate the purchase of these equipments to ensure learning continues. I thank you.
Wow, thank you very much. We still have a lot of questions, but then you're going to see how to handle them. And maybe if you will have to come back at the end to give answers. I can see some questions, and most of them are from our very own students. I am happy they are attending. We have businessmen with us. We have lawyers, and when I talk about lawyers, now Alan, you know what I mean. Thank you for being part. We have journalists, definitely. You answered the question from a journalist. We have teachers. Wow, very good. This is your debate. You're welcome. And that means I have some recognitions here. I want to recognize the presence, and I know people will ask me how, but I want to recognize the presence of the government of Uganda. And I want to say the government has caused this happen. It is funding everything. And in a special manner as well, I want to recognize Professor William Bazeyo, the chair of Grants and Management Committee. So that means if he was not alive now, we really wouldn't be here. I'm very happy. And that means I am welcoming the second panelist. And let that be Dr. Peace Musimenta, like I said, from the School of Women and Gender Studies, Makerere University, and principal investigator. And that means I am very confident that she's going to talk about the rampant cases of domestic violence, because they have a negative impact on these students coming back and adopting this, since she's from the home with solutions. Dr. Peace Musimenta, you are welcome.
Thank you very much, Muzanira. I am happy to
the
be
name
part
is
of
Munzira. I am from
Munzira.
Very good. I'm a
Crispus.
Munzira by clan.
Okay, Munzira Crispus. Thank you very much. And I want Bazeyo,
Wow.
who really has worked so hard to ensure that these debates come to the foreground and they help to sensitize the public about the need for online teaching and learning. I would like to, since Mauda Kamatenes has really given most of the points, I would like to start by showing the benefits that we get from the online and teaching environment. First of all, digital and online skills are the center of the reskilling revolution for the future workforce. And we must inculcate into the learners in order to prepare them for the future. Secondly, I would want to refer us to Alvin Toffler, who said that the illiterate of the 21st century will not be those who cannot read and write, but those who cannot learn and relearn. And so as members of the community who are scared of the changes, we must be ready to learn, relearn, and unlearn. And one of the things we are going to learn is to use these platforms, the online teaching. Makerere University has actually done as well. We have been trained. We are now in the process of uploading our courses, and we must face this, because there are 4 F's if you want to face your challenge. First one, you can flee. Second, you can fight. Third, you can fear. And fourth, you can face it. So we are going to face this because the pandemic did not give us any warning. It just came, and now that we have seen any other thing can happen, we must be in a position to mitigate the consequences of such other pandemics. But we should also look at the other benefits. For example, online teaching gives teachers an opportunity to continue learning. I give an example of myself in Makerere University when they started training us. There is a lot I have learned, and despite the fears of the gadgets, I know it is going to be a process where we continue learning and relearning and unlearning. We also need to note that we cannot do business as usual when it is business unusual that is common. And so we must, whether there are challenges, there are constraints, we must begin. And I know there are many fears, but most times the things we fear, 90% of the things we fear never happen. So I want to lay the fears of most parents and learners. Where there is a will, there is always a way. And therefore, don't fear. For us who are Christians, we say, fear not. The Lord is in control. I also want to challenge ourselves. No one knew that such a time would happen when parents would be at home with their parents for over 6 months. And therefore, parents and children with their children at home for over 6 months. And therefore, we are now looking for a way out we have to move on. We cannot wait for the coronavirus to leave us. We don't know when it will leave. And what we need are these strategies that will help us to move on, and definitely the digital era, which is for the fourth industrial revolution, is the in thing, and we cannot sit and wait. So members of the public who are scared, let us begin to accept and appreciate that this has happened, and therefore we must intervene. And once we appreciate the challenge, we shall find ways out. We shall find donors, we shall find partners. Like I never knew I would be partnering with Bishop Stuart. And when we partner, we put our brains together, it is easier for us to come up with a solution. So I'm calling upon those who are still scared. I also used to get scared of gadgets, by the way, but we must begin to think of how do we move now that we have this innovation by Makerere, by other universities. During the data collection, we also reached Ndege University. We have interacted with UCU. We have interacted with other universities. They are all saying the only way to get out of this pandemic negative effects is to engage online teaching and learning. And the purpose of this project is to make the public aware that it is possible and we can do it once we appreciate the benefits. Leave alone the challenges. Challenges will always be there, and we all know that challenges actually are the sources or are the mothers of innovation. Let me use that. So participants, the public, I call upon you to appreciate the government intervention, the government effort, and work towards achieving the online teaching and learning. Thank you very much.
Wow, thank you very much, Doctor. And in another special manner, I want to thank you for causing this happen. I know how you've been engaging us, and I'm very sure we are not going to end this in smoke. We have better results. We must produce fire whatsoever.
Yes.
Thank
you.
Yes, I'm welcoming the third panelist. And for this one, he's the head of global platforms in Action Aid Uganda and a founder of Vision Leaders Forum. This man told me, and I know Primus, you know what you told me last week from the book you sent to me by Shama. Those who train the most breed the least during the war. Should this be considered as a matter of training? Like those who did not train will bleed the most. Is it what you're telling us, Mr. Primus, that institutions that did not do much of training will bleed the most in this new normal? Mr. Primus Bahiji, you are highly welcome.
Thank you very much, the moderator of this afternoon. And also I would like to say thank you so very much to the organizers who prepared this open debate on ICT, or what we call e-learning. And I also want to thank my sisters and elders, Professor Kamatenes and Dr. Peace, for the wonderful presentation. Once again, my name is Primus Bahija Kwase, and I work with global platforms at Action Aid. Now, I want to begin by making a disclaimer that I am a Pan-Africanist, and I have strong socialist tendencies, and I tend to stick so much to the role of the state institutions and government when it comes to this pandemic that we are in, COVID-19. Now, the question at hand is the institutions of learning, should they embrace technology as a remedy to education in COVID-19? My answer is a little philosophical because I say it is desirable. It is desirable to do that. But as a country, are we ready? And I want to begin by pointing us some of the structural challenges that we have as a country that may not make us fully prepared for the e-learning that we are talking about. One, I want us to recognize that as a country, 65% of the population lives in a non-cash economy. Now, if 65 lives in a non-cash economy, where are they going to get the 200 to put on phone as OTT tax to access some of the basic sites? I want us to recognize the rural-urban divide that we have in this country, because 18% of the households in this Uganda have electricity, compared to 85% of households in urban areas. And how are you going to charge your laptop? How are you going to charge your phone? Today morning, I was supposed that 6:30 to connect with a team in a patch, and they're in an urban area, but they have not had electricity for 2 days. So it goes, it comes and goes. And related with electricity, look at the cost of electricity. If you move from here to Ramya, that is in the border of Uganda and Congo via Mundvujo, if you move from here to Busia, if you move from here to the border of Rwanda, true, you are going to see electric poles and electric lines passing through. But how many Ugandans can afford the cost of electricity? How many Ugandans have electricity in their households? And then we need to critically evaluate the vision of the country, because in a bid to be part of the Sustainable Development Goals, Uganda embraced and developed what we call the digital vision. And this was the digital vision of Uganda is a digital enabled society that is secure, sustainable, innovative, and transformative. But I was just reading a research by Research ICT Africa, and you'll be shocked that Uganda has 14% penetration of internet. It is one of the least countries with internet penetration across Africa. What is shocking to many of the listeners is that Rwanda is 9% and Mozambique. And among the 18 countries that were surveyed, Uganda was on above Rwanda and Mozambique with 14% internet penetration. Now, the 15 million children that we are talking about, can they access the internet whose penetration is only 18%? It's a question that we need to discuss. And then let me bring you to the reality of the rural-urban divide when it comes to internet again. You have only 9% of the rural Uganda accessing internet, compared to the 70% of the urban areas. So yes, we can be confident when we are in Kampala, we can be confident when we are in Mbarara, we can be confident when we are in Gulu. But what happens when I penetrate a deep village in Karamoja, when I penetrate a deep village in Kamuli, when I penetrate a deep village in Kanyabwanga, my small village? To what extent do I access internet as we talk about e-learning? 16% of Ugandans own smartphones, and about 13% own computers. So what happens to the rest of the people who do not have smartphones and who do not have computers? So then, in this desirable situation, what do I think should be done? Before I talk about what I think should be done, if we continue calling and saying, yes, virtual education should happen, it's going to happen, we are in the fourth industrial revolution, but we do not do some of the things that I think are very important, we are going to only increase inequality. Meaning that the haves, and that is what is happening today, the parents who have kids in international schools are accessing education at kindergarten, at primary level, and others. But the parents who are having schools in government-aided schools are not doing that. And that level of inequality is not good for a state like Uganda. The haves are going to embrace buy computers because they can afford, and the have-nots are going to sit down. Last week I was speaking with a parent in Kabale who had said, I think my children should go and do something else because there is no more education. Now, what will happen if we complicate it further and put this e-learning without strategic measures? So I want to propose some strategic measures that I think should be done. One, the government of Uganda needs to reprioritize her priorities. And if the government of Uganda thinks that education is the most important thing, like I think, then the budget of education needs to be increased so that secondary schools are equipped with modern laboratories, so that we have hotspots in almost all sub-counties in this country and almost in each village, because the question of connecting cables across the country and putting in place hotspots, so that the only challenge of a citizen now is to buy a telephone or have a computer. And with that, you can access fast, reliable internet connection for us to be able to have this. The government needs to increase the budget funding so that the universities have modern labs, because also e-learning requires a modern laboratory, lab equipment, and internet that over 1,000 students can tap on that bandwidth and remain stable. And government needs to do a critical study and do an affirmative action. And for me, this affirmative action I'm talking about is, can the government of Uganda, for example, buy computers? We have 15 million people or students. Can the government of Uganda buy 15 million computers for her citizens? If that is not possible, can we have a classification and look at the marginalized, the people who cannot afford computers, and the government provides those computers, so that we have put in place enabling mechanisms? And I know it is possible because the money that is swindled in corruption, if that money was diverted to buy computers, in 1 year, each pupil would have a computer, because we lose approximately 700 billion in administrative corruption. We lose approximately 1.5 trillion in illicit financial frauds and misinvoicing. So if that money is administratively controlled and diverted, then we'll be able to have quality education, quality e-learning with a progressive infrastructure. I did a quick survey, and I did it when I was doing piloting regional parliaments, and I saw the challenge. When you do a webinar, when you do a meeting online in Kampala, you're going to have participation very high. But when you do it in rural areas, the skilling, first of all, the ability of the people to know how to use the computer is still very low. And we are not taking consideration into this, because less than 15% of the schools in Uganda have computer laboratories. Now, with less than 15%, it means that the population of Ugandans who do not know how to use computers are quite high. So what do I think should be done, finally? For us, the educationists, the businessmen, the professors, the doctors, we need to have a union voice. And this union voice should be, Government of the Republic of Uganda, can you increase our funding? That is number one. Government of the Republic of Uganda, you have put in place a vision. You have embraced technology. COVID has come. Can we remove over-the-top tax for students and everyone in this country so that access to internet is cheap and affordable? Can we talk to...
I am sure I will give you extra 1 minute, but maybe if we find a space as we continue. I'm sure you're listening to me. For that one, I'm sure. And I want to tell the audience and the panelists as well that I had a huge debate with you last week when you told me that when you're buying a book, you should not mind about the cost, but rather the content. Is it still your stand? we had a huge debate. I was saying, no, the cost also matters. And you told me if you're seeking for knowledge, don't look at the costs, but rather look at the content. I am happy for your submission. I hope you're joining me. You're talking of OTT and the costs involved in e-learning, but isn't this acquisition of knowledge? Oh yes, it is. And that means you're joining me. I am happy the debate is yielding something for me. I've won the debate. Primus, costs matter. But I want to thank you very much. You had a very objective submission. You see, most times we don't need to sweet talk and, you know, cover here and here. I hope we are allowing objective minds. If you're not in for this, you have reasons. And by the way, if you have an alternative, you can also suggest it. Don't look at technology, but rather look at this. We believe as a house that technology is the way to go, but we are welcoming objective minds. If you have a diversionary idea, we are welcoming it, because at the end of the day, we shall make a final verdict on whether or not the majority are saying technology is the way to go. We are continuing. And ladies, you're back. Use that minute. Use that minute and conclude.
Yeah, thank you very much. You saw what I was talking about, the internet interruption, and they just happened to me. So I wanted to conclude by saying that I know that the capitalism spirit has penetrated most of us, and we are always asking ourselves the questions of what individuals can do. But we shouldn't negate the role of the government, because we sign a social contract. And when we sign a social contract, education is a public good for me. So we need, much as we are calling upon parents, much as we are calling upon individuals to do their responsibilities, we need to address the structural challenges that we are having so that we can have e-learning embraced in an environment that is sustainable, that is inclusive, because without necessarily leaving behind anyone, the women, the girls, the disabled, and the poor. For me, once there is inclusivity, once there is acceptance of everyone, then we can embrace e-learning. I thank you, and I beg to move.
Wow. Thank you very much. I am seeing Robert Wamara. There is a very good submission. Of course, it will need your reaction later, so you will need to read through. But otherwise, thank you very much. Primus Bahiji at Kwase. Well, I told you previously that there are titles I fear mispronouncing. Here is another professor, Professor Semakra Edward, the coordinator of graduate studies, Bishop Stuart University. And when we talk about Bishop Stuart University, it's where I am, in such a radiant room, branded as the Facilitated Academic Resource Center. Kudos to Bishop Stuart University having prepared such a serene environment for e-learning. You're welcome, Professor.
Thank you very much.
Oh, good. We have you.
I'm very happy to be part of this exposition. I think COVID-19 is not the first crisis, and certainly it won't be the last. And the trauma, the disorganization for all institutions cannot be overemphasized. But my submission I want to revisit the seriousness of the trauma. We have never had a time when we closed all our schools. This was new. In fact, we thought it couldn't happen. Students couldn't believe. They thought it was going to be for 1 week. And they even left their staff in the hostels. But it was there. So this is a trauma which you must look at. You are not operating under normal circumstances. There is interruption in teaching and learning. And this means loss of time and even a failure to meet deadlines, promotions to the next level, graduations, etc. Loss of sponsorship. There are those who have sponsorship who have timelines. And it means that if you cannot meet those timelines, you can even miss those sponsorships. You have idleness at the lower end. Our kids went home and they are not used to the home environment. They walk around, they're idle. And then they fell into the inappropriate behavior, social behavior, as you know. With all the emerging problems, which may lead to final dropout, among others, and even a loss of life. So we are dealing with a situation, an emergency. We are in a theater. What do we do? Do we have a knife? Do we have scissors? Do we have scalpels? And maybe it is not there. So you are trying to utilize whatever you can lay your hands on. When I'm supporting the actually the view that e-education is the way to go, I want to define what this one means so that we are focused. Education technology is the application of digital delivery methods in teaching and learning. We have platforms like radio, television, internet, Skype, and so on. But the major element which we need to look at is the curriculum. How do we prepare learning materials? The content. You know, especially when you address the higher level of education in universities, of course, even at the lower ranks, you have curriculum. So the most important starting point, how do you prepare teaching material so that you meet the curriculum and you can say that the objectives for teaching and learning were achieved. This is where we need the training, and I'm sure a lot of training has gone on, but we have to first of all to look at what do we mean by e-learning. We need to know what is e-learning. I've been looking around and I discovered that this is the learning by using digitization. You know, we turn the physical form of our information into digital. I'll give you an example. If you write a letter and you photocopy it and save it on your hard disk, that is a digitation. It's now saved, you can keep it forever. But if it was in a physical form, you could lose it to the cockroaches or whatever, somebody could misplace it. But we look at digitization so that we can actually store some of this information almost forever. And when you go ahead and also consider digitalization, digitalization is a little different from digitation. Digitalization is actually to leverage. You change the information so that it can be spread wider and more effectively. Like if you use an internet, you type that letter which you had written by hand and use an internet to send it around. That is digitalization. which is at a higher level. Okay, somebody will say, okay, we are going to be facing a lot of inequality. There's no equity, some are losing. But I think as we are battling with inequalities, we should move ahead knowing that they are existing, and then we try to deal with them as we move. Rather than say, oh, we shall wait until we are ready. We shall never be ready. This world, you can never be ready. The best thing is to start and see how far you can go. Using the e-materials, it's better to use the platforms which you already have. And you and me have seen that our people actually using smartphones, even in remote areas, to deliver a lot of information. Most of it is social. So it is going to be now a change from social to serious work of education, delivering education materials. We have people on social media, we have WhatsApp and so on and so forth. And these are the ones we should be using. You have internet, you open a Gmail is free, by the way. And I think we shall need to change our attitude. When we start teaching our students or pupils, we have to know that they need to be responsible. They need to be able to keep your records, to utilize whatever they have, and be able to benefit from the system. Of course, there are challenges. There are many, many challenges. We talk about storing our documents on, let's say, things like institutional servers. Institutional servers are a bit limited, and if you load so much information which is not relevant, it may crash, as it has already happened somewhere else. But these are the challenges which we are going to address as we move. Yeah, one of us panelists said, okay, we have limited access to Wi-Fi. This is true. It's quite true. But I think we are talking about institutions. Institutions which are in those areas could be able to mobilize and be able to get Wi-Fi, maybe accessed as a group rather than thinking about individuals. We have cost of computers and smartphones, TVs and radios. These are there, but I know people who are actually having these phones and use them for other applications, social applications. But right now, I think what we need to do is to try and convince the government to subsidize these equipment which we badly need, so that we can have everybody accessing these equipment. And mostly, I think government should also be aware that it's not just social entertainment. No, these are the same platforms which we are utilizing to chat. You know, we are replacing the face-to-face with the WhatsApp, Zoom, and so on. Instead of inviting students together and talk to them face-to-face, we can use these platforms to interact with them, so that at least they feel the emotional part of it is still there, rather than sending them only study materials which are highly impersonal. What have we learned from all this? I think when you look at all this, the world will never be the same. This change has come, it is here to stay. We really have to stand in and get counted. And we have to measure up ourselves and see that at least we do the best we can. And by appreciating the online teaching and learning. There are some good aspects of it. You can manage high enrollments. You may not have to have everybody on campus. You can have other students who are accessing study from off campus, which means that in one or another, opportunities could be spread out more with online teaching. We shall be having broader knowledge sharing and networking, because we are now finding out that we have to work together, to network. How do they do it? So that we can discuss and even build more social capital. In conclusion, I want to say that these education technologies are vital to avoid the COVID-19 repercussions. The success of online learning and teaching requires the teacher and the parent cooperation, because when the students are at home, we are not there, but the parents are there. And part of the responsibility is going to be carried by the parents themselves. And we really want to encourage them to keep on supporting their kids. Finally, I think government should ensure that we could have ICT facilities which are affordable and can be used by everybody. But my submission, I think we need to start somewhere, and then somewhere it can be assisted by the government. But we cannot say no, we wait until when? I mean, maybe the money is not there, the taxes and so things are, the business are down, government cannot collect taxes, but I think let's start somewhere. And then we'll be able to correct all these shortcomings as we move on. Thank you so much, moderator. That is so far my presentation. I beg to submit.
Yes. Okay. Thank you very much, Professor. And I will employ you to check in Q&A. There are a lot of submissions which you can read through and build an argument at the end of the session. I want to thank people who are very active. Kathy from Chireka, Nahurira Hilary from Bishop Stuart University Agribusiness Incubation Hub, and others that are typing and shooting questions, bringing concerns. We have a Gaba charity. We are really recognizing your presence, and we are happy that you accepted the costs. And that's data, really, to be part of us. You're very, I am seeing Associate Professor Robert Wamara, the Deputy Director of Research and Graduate Training, Makerere University, and the member of Research and Innovations Fund and Grants Management Committee. I am very happy by the end of the session, I will win myself a grant. With such people I have, really, I qualify. I am 26, and that means I'm not too young for such grants. Thank you very much. We are going to the next panelist, and that is Mr. Eric Batura Bumoshabe. Like I said, he is not an English teacher, but rather the teacher of English from one of the biggest schools in the world, and that is Ntare School. Mr. Eric, I hope I pronounced your name very well. Bumoshabe, keep praying. As we pray, I am certain we are reaching there. You're welcome.
Thank you very much, Crispus. Yeah. I'm happy to be part of the panelists of today. I'm so much impressed by the speakers so far. If we are to go back to what you presented as part of your introduction, you told us that the institution of learning should embrace technology in education process. And I highlighted on the word education process as a remedy to COVID-19 negative repercussions. My first word would be COVID or no COVID in this era and time. If anyone says that we don't need technology in education, really, he must be or she must be lying. Because if we are to look at the status quo, apparently, we have 73,000 institutions of learning closed, with 15 million students at home, with 600,000 refugee learners, those who came from other countries to seek solace. They are at home. You can imagine what they are going through. We cannot go through the negative repercussions of COVID-19 in the socio-economic situations, even in urban centers or in rural. Some people say that COVID-19 has come as an equalizing situation. And we were blessed when it was coming. It started from the so-called elite economies of China, of America, of Spain, Brazil, and it broke their spinal cords. We are not at peace, but apparently we can say we have somehow survived. We survived considering how what other countries have gone through. So, minus or not embrace. You can never change your lifestyle unless you change the way you think. Anyone thinking that it is not yet time, I feel there is no right time. The right time is not even today. It should have been very many years ago. Because previously, the education sector has been depending on the recommendation of Professor Senteza Kajubi of 1899. When the NRM was coming and it found the government, the school sector was in shambles, and then they started drafting on what to do. But this time, even before COVID-19, e-learning was the most viable situation that was needed at the time. Reason, we don't need to be great to start. We just need to start to be great. I am my senior friend, Primus Bahiji. Actually, we share the sub-county. He was saying that the situation is very bad in his area in Kanyabwanga. I also come from the neighboring sub-county of Kashenshuru. But even in his own village, Kanyabwanga Secondary School, they are teaching ICT and it is compulsory and the students are passing. In Kashenshuru, the students are passing the ICT. So you don't need to be great to start. You only need to start to be great. And we are grateful to the government. The government is sponsoring such developments. We are now discussing ICT. We are discussing e-learning. And it is starting from the university, which is the center of learning. And on the panelists, we have a vice chancellor. Yeah, that is, and she's here sounding bells on the same. So I have a feeling we don't need to waste a lot of time. We must embrace, we must support the government. We must admit, like Bahiji was saying, is taking the socialist perspective. Yes, the government is supposed to do a donkey's work, but we should not forget that the parents have got a contractual obligation to make sure that the students, their sons and daughters receive the learning, because like the American president one time said, don't ask what the government can do for you, but ask what you can do for the government. It's very true. Our socio-economic situations are so much alarming, but we cannot sit and watch when the world over is running e-learning. We must do something. Then if we are to look at what the society stands to achieve, technology improves the engagement between the learners and the teachers, really, because the students are dealing with hands-on. They have whatever they practice, they get it at heart. The teachers will benefit because they can easily do a lot of work in a simple time and with the highest numbers. Shortly in May and July, the University of Cape Town was coordinating a program at Viva College in Jinja, and they had close to 500 students from those who are in vacation and those who are in first year in universities. And the lecturers were from Cape Town, and they are teaching students in Uganda. And they were saying their program is to cover the entire continent. So the situation is the program has already started. It's up to us to continue this business of we are not ready, we cannot afford, really it cannot apply because there is no any time when Uganda will ever be ready. Recently we had a situation in the district of Ibanda. Termites entered a certain library and vandalized every piece of book in the library. Now, assuming such books were all stored on computers, it was just, it would be a matter of a student going to the catalog and gets the book of his or her choice. And if you are to check, we have been able to learn that there are very many books. We have very many soft books which we can just go and download and we print cheaply. So I still insist, you don't need to be great to start. You simply start to be great. Because after all, education is just a process. When I was young, my teacher taught me that education is the process of imparting knowledge, skills, and attitudes which can help mankind to live and suit in an environment. So there we have now an environment, COVID-19. We must adapt and we'll be able to suit and live in it. That is my humble submission, Monzera Crispus.
Wow. Thank you very much for such a wonderful submission. I don't always compliment people, but I want to say in acquisition of knowledge, age does not matter. You're such a receptive man. You welcomed me, you loved me. And thank you for sparing time to be with us, Vatura. And the Bible says, start with what you have, and from where you are, better tools shall find you along the way. And if I had time, I would tell you the verse and the chapter and the book where it is found. For now, that's enough. And that's the gospel you're preaching. We start where we are with the tools we have, and better tools shall find us along the way. Wow. You're developing confidence in us, and we really appreciate. And I want to thank people that are making the chat room very hot. Komwanji, Derek, my OB, and a postgraduate student, Bishop Stuart University. I am happy for what you're doing in the chat room. He was the head prefect, and I was the deputy. I have it right. Moses, and I also see someone very active, and you're good, and your name is Technospark 5 Air. Eustace, we are seeing you, and Moses. And of course, without forgetting my technical team. People, I'm not forgetting about you, Norman, Aunt Rose, Reverend Charis, Job, Chiguri, Cosma. Thank you very much. You're making the session very good. I have a notification, if not a message, on my WhatsApp. The former UNEP chairman, and I think I'll ascertain whether, anyway, I'm told he's at Makerere, and he has what he's working on. He's revising a certain course structure, and if he doesn't join, then he has sent his apologies, and that is Pajil. Mandy. And third is that Mark he's there trying to do something, and maybe if he doesn't join us, he is sending apologies. But still, I am happy with the panelists. And what does that mean? I am switching to the audience. I have the most active audience. I have the most active audience. And I want to start with my mentor, someone who criticizes me every day. And that is Chugudi Cosmas. For the audience, you have 4 minutes. And like I quoted, one way of becoming a good speaker is to know when to stop. I am happy panelists did not wait for Chris, the moderator, to speak first, and they stopped. They really managed themselves. And that is what it takes for one to be an intellectual. Chiguri Cosmas, you have 4 minutes right from now. You're welcome, sir.
Thank you, Crispus, and I would wish to also thank all members of the panel and contributors to this forum and everyone who is attending. I'll be very brief, although it is quite long, so my speed will be quite high. Now, I think we need to understand a few things and also appreciate what actually COVID is doing. Yes, COVID is a disease, and it has been very disturbing to our situations and what people are going through. However, we need to know that COVID is a disruptor. So there are advantages and there are also disadvantages that are coming with this disease. But my cry to you, considering the topic of the house of discussion today, is Africa, we should stop lamenting. We need to stop being prisoners of souls and lamentations, because we've done this for a long time. We need to appreciate the problem at hand, and we need to start building solutions for Africa. No one is going to save us. It should be Africa saving itself. So I'm just going to dig into some statistics from Belgium, which has a penetration. I had a discussion about penetration, internet penetration. In Belgium, there's a penetration of 98% internet penetration in their urban centers. And around mid-April, Gistic, which is a publishing company there, released a newsletter. And in this newsletter, 1.6 billion students, according to them, according to Gistic, there was a big population of 1.6 billion students affected from 194 countries affected by the lockdown. So these students couldn't go to school. Now, 9% of the 15-year-old couldn't even find a quiet place to read, looking at the provision of online education. They couldn't find a quiet place to read. And 35% of 15 years who are enrolled in school couldn't access a teacher that could understand or integrate technologies and could facilitate a class with online pedagogical skills and techniques. So even with online education, they could not attend school. Now that is in Europe. And how about Africa? Has the government tried to find out how many of our students can be facilitated on the same platform? And if that is the case in Europe, are we going to sit and lament, since that's how it is in Europe, how shall it be in Uganda? Are we going to go to sleep because it's bad in Europe, so it should be bad in Uganda? Anyway, that is food for thought, that we need to come up to a stage, and we should stop eating breadcrumbs. If there is a dinner table, we need to come and crash on this dinner table. And the dinner table I'm talking about is the 4th industrial revolution. If Africa didn't benefit from the past industrial revolution, this is the time we should benefit from the fourth industrial revolution. And there is no fourth industrial revolution without technology. There is no fourth industrial revolution without the outburst of data and data streams. There is no fourth industrial revolution without IoTs, Internet of Things, and artificial intelligence, what we call AI. So we need to we need to crash this table. And COVID-19 presents the golden opportunity. It is this opportunity that we need to come out and embrace. We need to look at solutions that are going to help Africa. Our children are at home. Our children are not studying. They are being impregnated. They are students whose they are students or children whose future seems to be in a dilemma of whether they will never continue again or there is a chance to continue. Many of these days, so many people have passed on, and some of the people passing on are people who were sponsors of these children. So we need to think about solutions, and one of the solutions is we need to transform the current technologies to suit Africa. If we have no penetration, we need to task our government. Our government needs to wake up and do that. We need to work onto the penetration. We need to develop content for Africa. We need to get innovations for Africa. And for Africa here, I mean what can be affordable by your next door. If you look around, if you look at the technologies, if you look at the background we have right now, there are so many things that couldn't be done if we still looked at our classroom as a four-walled room with a blackboard. If my parents started with a blackboard, I shouldn't start with a blackboard. If my parent carried a cell phone, I'm carrying a smartphone. We need to shift, and we need to stop being prisoners of soul and lamentation. We are in a continent that the outside world used to call black, but now it is the gold and silver of the fourth industrial revolution. The workforces are coming from here to Europe. So we need to tap into the opportunity presented by the fourth industrial revolution. Thank you, Crispus. Back to you.
Thank you, Cosmas Chibudi. And Cosmas Chibudi is the head of Department Computer Science, Bishop Stuart University. Thank you for that sweet presentation. Atlinda Dixon, I am seeing you. You're active in the chat room. And Ambrose Chivuka has a huge submission. And I want to say this to panelists, please visit Q&A and try to read through people's submissions. You have a few minutes at the end. We shall allow you fight back, if I am timing it well, refute and rebut what people are saying, and if anything, create harmony, because at the end of the day, we want to have fire and not to end this in smoke. We have special guests in the house, the Vice Chancellor, Makerere University, Deputy Vice Chancellor for Academics, Makerere University, Deputy Vice Chancellor Finance, Makerere University. We have AL, we have VC, Chambogo University, we have VC, and when I say VC, that's the Vice Chancellor. We have the Vice Chancellor, Mbarara University of Science and Technology, and here I don't forget to recognize my professor, my lecturer, who handles me in the class of Artificial Intelligence, Electronics at Mbarara University. And we welcome the Right Reverend Dr. Fred Sheldon Mwesugwa, the Chancellor, Bishop Stuart University. We are glad and happy to really dine with such men and women, or women and men. I hope order doesn't matter. I am gender sensitive, and I fight for gender equity and gender equality as well. And that tells me I am picking someone else from the audience And let that be Alon Ainomujisha. Alon Ainomujisha, you have few minutes. You actually have 4 and 1 is gone already.
Can you hear me?
Oh, well.
Can you hear me, please?
We can hear you.
Okay. Thank you very much, Principals. Though I'm not getting what you're saying, but I can just hear your low voice saying me that you can hear me. So I don't know whether I'm clear now.
You're clear, Alon.
Okay. My submission is going to be statistical. I'm Aaron Ayanomugisha from Cruise FM, and the founder, Rise Against Poverty, Rap Uganda, Be Confident. Right now, I'm in my office outside the newsroom, so I have spared this time for this constructive debate. Let me kick off my submission by letting you know that the Education Ministry and the Ministry of ICT needed to be funded. They needed to be funded more than how they are now, because 2020-2021 financial year, when you look at that and you compare 2019-20, currently we have 3.5 billion up from 3.3 allocated to the Education Ministry, and 163 billion allocated to the ICT Ministry, and that is up from 146. So when you look at that budget, when you look at those allocations, and you look at what we are discussing now, you really concur with me that we need more funding. And let me confidently tell you that across the world, Uganda is one of those countries with the demoralizing internet penetration. In March this year, New Vision released the news report, which indicates that 42% of Ugandans can really access internet. And you know, most of the people here are youth, and youth relate to internet and the technology and that related concept. So why don't we look at bettering the penetration before we look at whether schools and educational institutions should utilize and embrace, and really let us first look at bettering the penetration. And you should also remember that Uganda is still a developing country. If you're developing and you want to skip some steps and you jump, you run to technology, China, America, Japan, and other countries we admire in terms of technology didn't skip some things. They have things they handled. If you want to better yourself in technology, how will the students who gain that knowledge utilize that knowledge in technology? Currently, we are battling with theory because we train them theoretical, and they don't have fields they can apply that theoretical knowledge. So where will they apply that technological knowledge? I'm not a technology person, but I'm a believer that technology is great for human beings. And my submission comes from the fact that if we don't align together, human beings are going to fight each other, because each technological revolution makes the world unbalanced. I'm trying to quote Jack Ma of Alibaba. As I wind up, I want you to know that most of Ugandans are poor. Most of Ugandans are poor. Let me repeat that. They are poor. My mother cannot afford to buy a computer or other gadgets for my siblings, you know. And luckily enough, we have the bishop with us in the audience. So if he can really quickly assess the churchgoers or even the entire diocese of Ankole, how many people can really afford computers? We have the vice chancellor who has really had a chance to interact with parents, pleading and asking her to allow their children to be in the university. That's when other authorities have not helped out because they want to break exams and they are not financially better. I mean their children. So let us not rush to discuss fruits before we know, before we understand, and before we realize how hard it is to prune, to plant, to plant, to prune, to harvest. Let us not discuss fruits. Let me finish and end as this. I am not against technology, but technology means money. Money to facilitate that concept of gadgets. Thank you very much, Chris.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Alon. I think I should assert this as well. I'm one of your fans, and every time you are reading news in Runyankore, Ruchiga, I always feel moved from the bathroom to the sitting room. Crispus and members, all universities should embrace technology because it is the only way to go. And that is from University Secretary, Bishop Stuart. Thank you. I am happy you are with us. Well, I am switching to the next. And if I may ask, I can see Moshabe Eric has his microphone on. How is it so far?
Everything is fine.
Good. I love that. You're on point. Dixon Atulinda is one of the young graduates, a teacher, actually someone, he won an award, the Best Young Teacher 2019. And I'm happy I've debated with him. We've gone to Kenya together competing. However, I defeated him. He's here with us and as one of the attendees. Dixon Atulinda, you have 4 minutes as well to bring your assertions on board. Dixon, we can't get you.
I'm on.
Good.
Okay, thank you, the moderator. I'm glad to be part of this. The moderator and I are good competitors in different fields. At times when we meet, we punch each other. Today's debate, institutions of learning embracing technology, is very key to this. I've seen the panelists, a few of them like Mr. Primus antagonizing this, but I must say web-based learning is a panacea for this crisis. This is COVID-19. And I must say that all institutions must scramble different options of online pedagogical approaches to try and use technology more aptly. And when you look at the circumstances coming with COVID-19 negative repercussions, Then we realize the scenarios planning is an urgent need for academic institutions to come up with a solution, hence which is online teaching. The difficulties, I have seen people addressing the difficulties coming with online teaching. It is difficult to stick the traditional road when the road itself is crumbled. Analyzing the issues, you and I shall agree that online teaching is emerging as a victory drum amidst this chaos. And therefore, the quality enhancement of online teaching learning is crucial at this stage. Our dear moderator and the panelists and the audience, we should know by this time that online learning is no more an option, it is a necessity. The major part of this country is in quarantine due to serious outbreak of this global pandemic COVID-19. Therefore, institutions of learning are affected, and the preeminent part of this is social distancing, which is not effective when we get back the traditional route we use to academic struggles. It is advantageous coming up with online learning for our students, our faculties. Still we can get better results. Dear moderator, accessibility, affordability, flexibility, learning pedagogy, lifelong learning, and policy are some of the arguments associated with online pedagogy. Online learning is easily accessible and can reach the rural and remote areas. I want to disagree with one of the panelists who said so, because it is not the point here, how best can we have the best of online teaching. During this tough time, the concern is not about if online teaching or learning methods can provide quality education. It is rather how academic institutions would be able to adopt massively online learning with the help of the dear government of ours. It is considered to be relatively cheaper mode of education in terms of overall cost of transportation, accommodation, and the overall cost of institution-based learning. When you look at this pandemic, definitely if we are together in the school and continue with the traditional way of teaching, then it comes with extra costs, implementing SOPs and etc. Look at transportation from each and each part of the world, of this country in particular. The beauty about online teaching, our dear moderator, is more student-centered, more innovative, even more flexible. It is learning experience is synchronous environments using different devices, phones, and laptops with internet access. These environments, students can anywhere be able to learn and interact with instructors and with fellow students. With synchronous learning can provide a lot of opportunities for social interaction amidst this deadly spread COVID-19. Such platforms are needed. Web-based learning methods and processes are really strong. These strengths of online learning modes can rescue us from these hard times. It is a student-centered and offers a great deal of flexibility in terms of time and location. The e-learning methods enable us to customize our procedures and process based on the needs of the learners. These are plenty of online tools available, which is important for an effective and efficient learning environment. Educators can use a combo of audio, videos, text to reach out their students in this time of crisis to maintain human touch their lecturers. And the beauty about this online teaching is that still, You can have a recorded thing. When you feel you have not got what was happening the other time, you can access it. Our dear moderator and panelists, there is a need to shift from pedagogical approaches to tackle new market conditions and adapt to the changing situations. As I said, it is difficult to stick the traditional road when the road itself is crumbled. I have a lot to talk about online teaching, but as someone who's good at time, I must leave this to the people who are in the audience and who are on the panel, and to you, the moderator. Here it is. All institutions must crumble different options of online pedagogical approaches and try to use technology more aptly. Thank you so much.
Wow, I love the positivity. Well, thank you very much, my competitor. He was supposed to follow me in South Africa, but because of floods, pests, and diseases, he was able to stay in Uganda. But I want to say I almost lost it when I met him on the panel competing with me. Dixon, thank you very much for such a wonderful presentation. I want to say now, so far good. I am seeing Komanji Derek. Komanji Derek, you have 4 minutes maximum. That means you can as well use 2 and reserve 2 for others. However, I am seeing a kind of reminder from Dalton that panelists have a lot of questions in Q&A that they are not answering. I hope they've heard. Thank you, Dalton, for such a kind reminder. Comanche, Derek, you have the microphone.
Thank you, Christopher. Do you get me?
We are getting you.
Yeah, I want to thank you for this arrangement. And I want to thank the panelists for their constructive deliberation. I want to thank Primus because I was all up in arms, not until he brought the socio-economical perspective. I must say, I'm a student of Professor Bandujire, and that has a lot to do with what I'm going to submit here. That said, I would like to say that technology, yes, is a way to go, like how very many people who have submitted before me have said. But I would like to shed more light on the Uganda, the economic structure Uganda is in. The ICT is arranged in a private sector-led oligopolistic market structure that when we leave it uncontrolled, unregulated like the way it is likely to broaden inequality, the cost of internet, that said. You can even see the gender of the people in the audience. Women are even left, are not, on. So what am I saying? I'm saying government has to deliberately invest in ICT infrastructure. I'm trying to bring in a solution-oriented kind of debate because recently, as a way of integrating ICT in education, government is proposing to buy 10 million radios at a cost of 38,000 each. That is 380 billion. Huh? I mean, this is bigger than the budget of ICT itself. But what is the effectiveness or the efficacy of that? No, that is not saying the cost of 374, 660 something TVs. And these are not effective. We have seen that already. And government is doing is already trying to inject more money in something that an evaluation has not been done. So what I'm saying, why not take this 380 billion, construct masts so that these companies can at least be hiring from government. And that way, when we have the infrastructure owned by government, the cost can go down. things of accessibility can be solved. With this budget, I'm telling you, we'll be able to have ICT hubs at least in major cities, and these cities and these hubs will broadcast internet connectivity to the neighboring communities. The infrastructure that does not speak, and even policies that do not speak to the development of an agenda of a nation, they are dead. How can you say that you're taxing social media, you're taxing mobile money transactions when your vision is to digitalize have a digitalized economy? My friend from Cruise FM talked about the budget allocated to ITC. Well, let me inform you, the 146 that was allocated previously, 23 billion went to Ministry of ICT administration, that is. 110 billion went to UCC. Posta Uganda got 20 billion, UBC got 4.3. UICT, something which is related to research, and only got 4.3 billion. I don't know, with Uganda, we are so obsessed with the bureaucracy that we have lost the would-be outcome. How I invest all this chunk of money into administrative things that do not yield a tangible outcome? The situation of Uganda can only be explained maybe by the visitor cycle of illogical or not practical. What is logical is not desirable. What is desirable is not practical. What is practical is not logical. So this is what we are talking about. Now, as I move, I would like to suggest that there needs to be a PP framework, a private-public partnership framework in ICT. Secondly, we need to adopt the subsidiarity principle, more of localization. Can we have at least sub-counties as a way to mitigate repercussions? Can we have students not, schools localized so that students do not travel from, from Kabianda to across in Wanyange? Can we have a localized structure of the education system as in a short term, like for example, UK is doing? Thirdly, I am proposing, I'm not saying technology is bad, and I think we should have adopted it as early as yesterday. But can we commission, as researchers, as educationists, can we commission like a pilot study? More take over an incremental way, so that maybe we first implement this project, for example, in the most vulnerable communities like Karamjong and Eastern Uganda, where poverty rates are more high and internet connectivity is poor. Can government deliberately, through its affirmative action, put up infrastructure? Let us first study that, see how it works. Because you can say, yeah, e-learning, e-teaching will be, I'm a assistant, I'm a teaching assistant, which I'm sure we are going to teach, but will students be learning? So we need to first have like a random control so that we study the effectiveness of technology in the Ugandan context, and then we do what we can roll out. But when we say, like Dr. Msime submitted, that we must face this challenge, fight it, I conclude that if we do not prepare very well, we are going to fight, and with fear, we're going to flee at last and lose everything. If we do not prepare very well, we are likely to see us failing to consolidate the gains that we had received in, for example, access to education.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
All right. That's Komanji, Derek. I hope after here, you will tell me the connotative meaning of the word or the name Komanji. I want to recognize the presence of some people. The digital presence is highly appreciated. Professor Mugambi Executive Director, Uganda Vice Chancellor's Forum. We have CPA Obet Mpwerire, Accountant and Auditor, Member, BSU Council Committee. You're welcome. Then we have Mr. Ben Ruhinda, Senior Officer, Uganda, no, this is Inter-University Council for East Africa. They are all with us. So when you hear the names of the persons with us, you really can tell if you really got the opportunity to have your submissions underway, then you are blessed. We have Professor Matthew, Vice Chancellor, Eastbert University. And I hope this is worth my attention. May I welcome a lawyer from Uganda Christian University, and that is Abenawe Alan. Abenawe Alan
Yes,
oh, good.
Christmas, you can hear me?
We are having you, we are listening and hearing you as well.
Thank you so much, my brother. Now, to start with, in this discussion, it was unfair for us to have teachers, lecturers, and administrators of institution headline it. The reason why I am saying it is unfair is because in the long run, they are going to give us a biased opinion. Basically because they were hit by COVID-19 the same way it did to business people. So they will even give you an unbiased opinion, a biased opinion, all in the name of them getting back to business, because that is the only way they can protect, fend, and feed their families. That's why from the discussion we have actually had, I found the discussion of Primus Bahiji quite touching and interesting. I believe that before we can actually embrace online teaching and technology, we need to first know what is the process going to be like. Are we prepared? Because in the long run, it will not be okay when thousands of students are left out, all in the name of online teaching and technology. So from the word go, we must prepare and know that yes, we're embracing technology, but what do we need to address first before we come to online teaching? Most of the institutions have actually had these online systems in place, but I am a living testimony. I have come to see most of failed electronic projects from my university. Yes, some have worked out, but some have failed. And there are students who have been victims of these failed projects. For example, some fail to graduate because they are missing marks, all because of digital technicalities. So we should not subject our students all in the name of online teaching when we have not questioned the first things that we need to deal with. For example, if you're saying that we are going to have an online way of teaching, then what is going to happen to students who are doing practical and science subjects? You're going to be taking them through a chemistry practical, yet they are in their home places. How safe are their home places, and how is the environment safe for them to actually learn and be in that system you're taking them to? If you're teaching them about mixing chemicals, do they have the apparatus home to actually also be mixing as you're showing them on a Zoom? So those are the questions we need to first answer before we get to the real process. Minus that, if you're to check what most institutions are actually providing, the systems do not accommodate students, for example, those who are visually impaired. We are going to have classes on Zoom, but we have these students in our communities. What is going to happen to them? First of all, they are not able to see who is teaching money to the class. That is another question that we need to ask. So our systems should be developed in a way that we can actually accommodate such students, those who are visually impaired, those who are deaf. How are they going to be accommodated by these online teaching systems? Away from that, I believe education is a right, and it is a fundamental right that bars specific people from actually enjoying this right of education because of COVID-19 for people. The Ministry of Education first said we are going to bring TVs. TVs failed. We are going to bring radios and supply to 9 million homes in Uganda. We have not seen those radios. So what is going to happen to these students when the ministry that is introducing this online teaching and technology has failed to provide for the basics at the start? Are we going to have them attending these classes, or we are just, and the system is going? So from the word go, I believe that we need to first understand and prepare and know how this process is going to be, because it will be so unfair to leave some people out, basically because they are poor and they cannot provide for themselves, basically because the ministry promises what it cannot actually fulfill. Thank you so much, my brother.
Thank you. Wow, Alan is the Speaker National Youth Parliament, where I work with him to see the views of the youth tabled on the floor of the Parliament. Alan, thank you very much. And meaningful to say, Alan is my accountability partner. Who is an accountability partner and who is your accountability partner? I will help my friends on that. Alan, you've done it perfectly well. Thank you very much. We are going on, and I want to say so far good. You see, there is what we call self-love. If they don't praise you, praise yourself. The moderator is on point. Thank you. This is just for fun. We have our own student. Actually, I call her Counsel. She's a very vocal lady from our own law school, Bishop Stuart University. And that is Agaba Charity, right from the mountains of Rukunjiri. Agaba Charity, if you are listening, you have 3 minutes. Okay, 4 minutes. I know you want to sue me. You have 4 minutes maximum to have your views noted. Put on your microphone and be part of the debate. Agaba Charity, you're welcome.
Thank you, our moderator, Mr. Muzra Crispus. I really appreciate the opportunity, and I thank everyone present. Direct to the question or to the issue on table, not forgetting my name as Agawa Charity, a teacher, direct from Bishop Stuart University and a lawyer in making. I would like to first address or ask my own Vice Chancellor about something she has told us, that this is what I want exactly to say, to ascertain to us. I'm asking my own professor, the Vice Chancellor, Professor Mauda Kamatenis, about how this one will actually enable a girl child education when really the usual and the formal one has really sometimes been a failure to our communities and our societies. Girls have always been sidelined. Then you cannot say that an advancement will actually bring an increment just because. Yes, that is my question.
Okay.
And yes, to my submission, I've been reading a journal from Tanzania, and it was like it is the teachers who actually rejected online education. And in regard, after considering the students themselves, they also rejected. And my question is why? People who are doing this research, who are saying, yes, it is good, let's adopt it. I'm not saying it is, we shouldn't adopt it. It is good, I also embrace it. But the Bible tells us in Ecclesiastes that there is time for everything. Yes, time will come and we embrace technology. We say, let's go online and we study. As a teacher, when you're teaching, sometimes students understand by seeing your face. Just you tell them, they hear your voice and they see your movements in class, they understand. How then shall those students be catered for on online? Another submission is looking at the advantages of face-to-face teaching and learning. Really, I find us still back way to adopt online education. Regarding also the internet issues, as I've also encouraged them, I've also encountered them at the moment this time. Online education, I think it should be a process. We shouldn't hijack and say, yes, COVID has come, let's embrace this. No, we should prepare for it and say, this is an idea, it has come, COVID has brought us this idea. Now, which steps should we take? We do research. Then after research, we do planning. By planning, they include the government, students, and the stakeholders, the parents themselves. The other steps you should take to reach at the cost of buying a phone, buying a laptop, and other things that may be needed there.
Okay, Charity. It's time up. I hope you were done, right?
Yeah, I'm done. Thank you.
She's a feminist, and she strives to see the rights of women put right. Thank you, Agaba Charity. We are welcoming Professor Matthew, the Vice Chancellor Isbert. Hello, Professor.
Very grateful to the Vice Chancellor, Bishop Stuart University, and all the participants for inviting me to talk in this debate. I am extremely glad that in Uganda, the higher education sector is undergoing a change. The pandemic situation has forced us to adopt new technology, and as you all are aware, the anxiety of the day it was closed for the day-to-day classes. However, some of the universities have adopted the modern technology by converting the classes into online classes. Gradually, the NCAT has come out with an online policy, ODL policy, and started inspecting the universities who are ready for the ODL program and conducting examination and assessment. ISPAS University is one of the first university who was given this policies as well as assessment and examination. We are very glad to inform all of you that we have adopted the modern technology by having a virtual learning platform available to the student 24/7. They can access to any lecture notes, videos, and interactive virtual classes, which is recorded and uploaded for the benefit of those students who are employed or those students who could not attend the same. At the same time, we found that the students were not able to get the affordable data. Accordingly, for the data provision to the students. So we have given free data bundle to students, all those active students, and they are using it to access our online platforms. They can also attend our classes. They are also ready to appear for the online examination by using this or data given to them. So in a way, the virtual classes are as good as the face-to-face classes. Instead of students coming to university, they are appearing, attending the classes and sitting at home. They are also attending the online examination by using our modern. Non-finalist has already started. Around 300 students are appeared for the examination. And for the finalists, we are starting from 15th October onwards, and we hope all the students are benefited by our modern technologies. And I'm very glad to say that the online examination which has introduced is the first time any university is conducting in Uganda. And we are ready to share this technology with any of the university and share this ERP platform with our advantages to various other universities. Accordingly, universities have come and interacted with us, visited our campus to understand the technological advancement. I am glad with this, our higher education sector in Uganda will undergo a paradigm shift. I sincerely thank you, our Vice Chancellor, Bishop Stuart University, and the team for conducting.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you very much, Professor Matthew. Wow, that's quite awesome. We're happy to have you. And I'm one of the people that get so happy when I see universities working with each other. I have a feeling that if we are all held accountable, all of us shall win. And like I quoted from Dr. Peace's submission, 90% of things we fear don't happen. Wow, that made my day. Why fear? I can see Chuguri's hand is up, and I want to give him just 50 seconds to mention the name of his program.
Thank you, Honorable. I just wanted to throw some light as we discuss this question of how online teaching can be a solution to problems that could come with COVID, actually more serious problems than we've seen so far. As we extend this period to the next wave in December, the Ministry of Health has come out to say that there could be a second wave, and this is expected around December. We should appreciate what online education gives. I'm not defending online education as a teacher or as an instructor in a university, but from my background, this is the best solution we have so far. We can't still keep children at home, and this means also that we can't compromise on some things. And one of the things we can't compromise about is education and also the quality. The quality might come down a little because of the challenges we are facing, but with time we hope, and I'm very optimistic that things will fall in place. However, online is not just going to come from the blue. This technology has been there, and not all institutions are picking on the online, but they are considering open distance and electronic learning. So it's a blend. There was a question about how can practicals be done. There are simulators that can do these practicals. I've been asking my classes, because I've been doing classes, pedagogical classes of online delivery in my own university, Bishop Stuart University, and I've asked the question, how do you think pilots fly? Do you think the first lesson is a solo flight where a pilot is flying for the first time? Because that's the practical. No, they sit into simulators. So There are things we need to learn how to do. It's very unfortunate that COVID is teaching us the hard way. And there are many challenges. Yes, they are there, but we should look at how do we change what is hard now into what is going to hold for the future of Uganda, for the future of Africa, and for the future of our own children. As I close, I want to submit to us that there is a cycle of online education or DEL, and people can be taught into how to give it, and students can be taught how to give it over this, how to receive it over the several platforms. And there are many ways we can actually help these students who don't have accessibility through what you call zero rating. MTN has been very generous and has given this opportunity to universities that are interested, and is also opening the same to primary schools and secondary schools.
Okay.
So we should appreciate. I think that's enough. Thank you.
Okay, that's really sufficient. Thank you. I'm happy he has been giving a light on several issues and trying to tell us how we can overcome the anticipated encumbrances, but to have a serene online session. Thank you, Chiguri, Cosmas. Soon adding Doctor. And we are now welcoming Professor Mugabe. I am happy I have really learned pronouncing the title very well. And because I have many professors in the house, I am becoming a professor soonest. Professor, you're welcome.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
We are getting you well.
I'm Professor Mugambi, Executive Director, Uganda Vice Chancellor's Forum, a forum of all vice chancellors in Uganda, a kind of an association where vice chancellors get together to discuss issues of concern. And like the issue we're discussing today is an issue of concern of all universities to engage in online education. One of the issues that of concern here is accessibility to computers. How students can gain access to computers, procure computers. Efforts can be made, and some universities have started doing this, is to cooperate and do a joint procurement of laptops to put together your funding and approach the suppliers like Hewlett-Packard and others to provide computers. So I encourage universities and others, universities to get together and make a joint procurement. This way the price comes down. If you're many procuring in a group, the prices come down, and these companies can even give credit facilities where you can pay in installments, procure computers. That is my submission, to encourage our institutions to work together to procure laptops.
Wonderful. The idea is welcome. And as part of staff, Bishop Stuart University, we are happy that our Vice Chancellor has already started on arranging for that. And I'm very happy for that. Canary, you are welcome. I can see Canary with us. Canary is the Debate Society President of Bishop Stuart University. I am happy you're part of us. Please keep the good work. We are now welcoming Ben Ruhinda, Inter-University Council of East Africa.
Thank you very much, moderator. I'm Ben Ruhinda. I work at Inter-University Council for East Africa. Inter-University Council for East Africa, I believe we are known in the community. We are for East African community, and we're an institution coordinating the universities, both public and private. I first congratulate Bishop Stuart University. Thanks, Vice Chancellor, for this occasion. Thanks for the audience for this good discussion. I would like to contribute just with the keyword of access, because we started in our discussion, I've been getting the concern of the access to technology, access to device, access to internet, access to research, access to books, access. I would like just to echo some of the good opportunities we have in the community as East Africa, but also on the world at large. In terms of technology, any institution which have a domain which is .academic, .ug, tz, ke, whatever, has millions of free access to technology, which supports whatever in terms of delivery, not to market, but to list different of them, like the education license for Microsoft gives a free access for any institution. And it's so fortunate that now in Uganda, we know more of primary schools which have accepted to embrace this technology, actually before secondary and universities. And they are teaching on what people nowadays have come commonly to know as teams. Access to technology is not limited. Actually, what I can say that the limit we have is the way to collaborate and share the successful stories of what worked for us. It's very quick people to boast about the rumors than saying the achievements which are there. Access to device, the previous Vice Chancellor mentioned a very good thing, the economic of scales, the scales, sorry. The many we go together for this demand, the more affordable these devices come. But also when you talk about the device, we need to think about the accessibility of internet. Yes, it was echoed several times, but thanks to Research Education Network on the whole world, and here in Uganda, we are represented by RENU. RENU is offering internet hotspot for all member institutions through what we call EduRoom, education rooming. What needs to be done is our joint venture together, the high learning institutions, research institutions, and public institutions, to open internet for our users. It's very unfortunate for me to sit in this building having 30 megabytes, which I use during the day. And during the night, there's nobody who's consuming, but the pay is monthly. And I don't have any open Wi-Fi, which could be tapped by people in the community. Once you open up the access to internet by using accessible technology, this will work. There's no doubt. So if this is done, we have the solution, not only for RENU, but also Telecom. As mentioned, Telecom have given the solution of zero rate for education resources. If we understand clearly the architecture of how we can make the online learning material to be accessible and available, there is a great opportunity. Access to research, access to education material, access to open resources, it's also granted to education. The real example is Research for Life. Research for Life gives access to all countries which are developing to have access to many journals and many books. You download it, you cite it, use it. But also there are other consortiums which are willing and sharing their content. So if we go or go electronic, there's a high possibility that we are going to gain more skills and gain the synergy of sharing. I can't talk about access without talking about the limits. The only limit we have is that people start by looking at 100% inclusive, and those who are waiting to join, they are waiting to see who is brave to move. Let us be brave, starting from higher learning institutions, to move, and people will take examples of the achievements which is happening. Otherwise, if we all wait for inclusiveness of everybody to be ready to jump on this running river, which is the technology, we find everybody's coward and we stand on the back of the river. I submit, and thank you very much for this opportunity.
Wow, thank you very much, Mr. Ben Luhinda. That is wonderful. I don't want to miss on my grant. And that means without any hesitation, I'm welcoming Associate Professor Wamala Roberts. Dr. Wamala. Okay, I hope we have temporary challenges and these are overcomable. But because I don't want to miss on my grant as a moderator, he's the head of grants, actually the Deputy Director of Research and Graduate Training, Makerere University, and a member of Grants Management Committee. So because I don't want to miss on my grant, I will really have to reserve some minutes for him. We have the CEO, Uganda Dialogue Arena, and that is Center. The CEO, Uganda Dialogue Arena, Frederick Musimenta. Put on your microphone. Please unmute yourself. Good, you are with us.
Am I on?
Good, you're with us.
Yes, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Like they have said, Frederick Tuwanje Musimenta is my name, the founder of Uganda Dialogue Arena, a youth organization that aims at spearheading debate in institutions of learning and the general public. I must say that I was one of the people happy to be part of this debate or engagement, because technology is the future, technology is the way forward. I've previously challenged our institutions of learning, being an alumnus of Chambogo, that they need to make sure that we go online and give students a chance, or they give them the flexibility to be able to access lectures and tutorials as and when they wish, especially if they are out of the city or outside their schools. That is the masters at MOOCs, and we have an e-learning platform whereby every day you find all the tutorials or the lectures. In case you missed, you are able to go there and teach and learn for yourself. So with this COVID coming on now, it is an eye open at all institutions of learning to ensure that they embrace technology, because without technology, as Africa and nations of learning, it means we are working backwards, which should not be the case. So I'm very happy that BSU has led the way. They have showed the way and actually led the way that technology should be embraced, and that institutions of learning, right from primary schools, if they have the capacity, let them have these e-learning platforms. That actually, the first people to do it in Uganda, those have visited the schools I've visited, is Gayaza High School. They have used technology to have classes, especially with the computer studies and agriculture. So I still believe that the government needs to support institutions of learning and ensure that they get subsidized equipment or even internet, so that learning becomes seamless and everyone can learn anywhere they are. I can be in Gulu, but still I attend classes at Makerere University. I only go for graduation. So government will need to lobby government to rein in on the service providers, possibly by lowering taxes, putting more optic fiber cables for the internet across the country in all regions, so that we are all able to access internet and do learning and be at par with the whole world. Many people are currently doing online classes with universities in Europe, in America, and Asia. So if cheap internet can be facilitated, it means we'll have a very big population of enlightened people.
Frederick, I will take it that you are the best time manager. And if it is the connection, maybe poor network on internet, then I want to say it timed you very well, because you had used your minutes, and I'm very sure we have a secretary. All your views are noted, because at the end of the day, this is research, and we have to pick out findings, and we are happy we've had the greatest respondents that have been so objective. And therefore, as Bishop Stuart University, Makerere University, and the government of Uganda, this is not ending in smoke. Ladies and gentlemen, I am seeing very many people who have what to say. But I want to say, thank you, Emily, thank you, Asimwe Enoch, thank you, Tabitha, thank you, Bush, thank you, Caroline, thank you, Kathy, Emu Crispus. Oh, that one, the name is worrying. She's my name. I wish I could know you. David Mwanguzi. We are seeing PC, Nuem Wes Gashom, Noah, Kennedy, Kembabazi, Kabireho Grace. They all have what to say. Eileen, FD. But the fact is, we failed to befriend time. Happy moments don't last long, but once enjoyed, they can never be swept out of our memories. What am I driving to? I am welcoming the panelists again. Panelists, there are a lot of submissions in Q&A, and like my friend Dalton asserted, by the way, Dalton is also one of our best debaters at the university. There are a lot of stones unturned in Q&A, and that means you have 3 minutes to react to what is projected to you, or we can call it any other business. And that means when 3 minutes elapse, we shall welcome another one as we really see this going to its evenings. That means I've graduated from the panelists, so from the attendees to the panelists. And I will not follow the order I had followed at first. We have descending and ascending order, so I'm using one of them. I am welcoming Mr. Eric Batura Gumoshabe, right from the bottom now on my list here. Please, you have 3 minutes to have a say, reacting on what people submitted in the chat room and Q&A. And then that means, let's welcome Dr. Msimenta. You seem, Dr. Msimenta, you have a few minutes. Good.
Thank you very much, Mzira, for the wonderful job you have done. I thank all the participants, and I'm really happy to note that our research is going to be enriched by these feedback, comments, questions, but most of the questions are about the challenges that come with technology. And I must say that COVID-19 came as thunder. It hit us hard and revealed our unpreparedness, but it has given us a very powerful learning that we must accept change because it is a fact of life. And as human beings, definitely we are scared. But from the submissions, I can see light at the end of the tunnel, that if we embrace the technology, the online learning, then we'll have an opportunity to look out for ways of mitigating the challenges that come with these new ways of learning, the new pedagogical skills. And from what I have seen, from a gender perspective, I believe that it is also going to bridge the gender gap, because previously we would look at technology and these gadgets as male space. But with this kind of training, even us women and girls will have an opportunity to enjoy learning using technology and maybe be inspired to go into sciences and have bridge this gender gap. I also want to say that Makerere University has really helped in getting us there, because even before we had some schools, colleges like public health, like education, which were already online. And so it is possible that even us who were scared of technology, including myself, I have been able to learn that this is doable and we can make it. As we build for the future, as our motto goes, I want to thank the government of Uganda and Makerere University, in particular our VC, Professor Bazeyo and Professor Barnabas Nawangwe, for leading this innovation and encouraging research to go into the social issues, but also relating to awareness creation, which previously was not well considered in some circles, believing that we must go scientific research, innovations, but this is also a social innovation. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Doctor. I have a quote here from you. I hope I will speak it again and again. 90% of things we fear don't happen. Wow. We are ready to go. Let's now welcome Mr. Primus Bahiji.
Very much, Christmas, and thank you very much for the panelists, the presenters. This has been an enriching process, I think, for all of us. But I think Alan have now a very critical issue, especially attaining the perspective. So the first challenge is perhaps we need instruction where we get perspective of the students, in other words, the consumers, and also perspective. So for me, I thought that is something that Alan said that we needed to pick up. Just to say that, like many have said, the industrial revolution is here. We need to embrace it. But we must embrace it without leaving no one behind. I believe Mandela said that education is the only tool where the son of a peasant can be a president, CEO, I mean the CEO of the biggest company in the world. Most of us are here not because we could be, but because of education. So as we think of education as a common good, we shouldn't think of exclusivity. Because Martin Heidegger, in his book on education, talks about the gifts, about the accidents. Most of us do not choose how we are born, do not choose the circumstances that we are born in. And the reason why we have the social contract is that the weak, strong, should be equalized when it comes to the public good. So I appreciate the fact that my brother said that Kanyabanga have a lab, but how many people in Kanyabanga are internet vis-a-vis the people in Parana? I appreciate the fact that there is electricity that passes there. How many people in their homes use that electricity? So we shouldn't massage. I think for me, much as press opportunities, we need to ask hard questions. And the hard question is, where do the priorities lie? I would be happy if the Vice Chancellor's Forum also said that as we are talking to MTN and Airtel to reduce costs, we're also talking to government to increase the budget. Ladies and gentlemen, we should not forget that even when we have primary education, we have 70% dropout. And there are fundamental challenges that even when we have university,
Each pupil has averaged a year 2,500 shillings. And we need to ask these tough questions. We should not massage the spirit, because a few of us can access computers, a few of us are speaking from the privileged point of view. Of course, capitalism has eaten most of us. And as long as I'm fine, and my family is fine, and my children are going to school, I do not care about the neighbor. And for me, I think that is a recipe for disaster. So as I end, let's embrace technology, yes, but let's ask the hard questions. And let's be prepared to ask those hard questions so that the rest of the country can benefit, the children of both the rich can benefit, so that we put an equal opportunity for each and every individual to realize their potential. Less of that, we are only preparing for a disaster. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bahiji, Primus or Primus. That is good. I believe Mr. Eric Batura Gumoshabe is now ready to have his final remarks.
My final remark, I could say it's very true. We have got a lot of challenges, starting financial education, as if we are climbing Mount Everest. But still, those economic challenges ahead of us are not substantial enough to stop us from beginning. Because the Banyankure say, when you are counting soil, you start from where you are standing. We are going to start from where we are, and we shall continue progressing. Eventually, we shall always say in history that there was that time when schools never had computers. There was no that time when people never knew technology. But look at where we are. Because when you look at countries like, for example, Rwanda, if you move from the border up to the border with Burundi in Gikongoro district, and you go in the neighborhood of Tanganyika in Rusumo district, almost, even though they have got just 90% coverage internet, but the schools, almost all teachers go in class with laptops, students use laptops. But here, even in universities, students are buying notes from the typewriter, I mean from the photocopiers. We must start and we must proceed, and success is ahead. Like Kwame Nkrumah says, we are facing neither east, neither west, we are just facing forward, and that is the way to go. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. My senior, you know what that means. So when I say it, you are thinking about it. Let's recognize the presence of the Vice Chancellor, St. Joseph University. I am happy he's part. So you're welcome, thank you. And I want to thank everyone here. Well, I think I need security, so I'll tell the Vice Chancellor as I'm moving outside this Celine Center, I will need security because I have a lot of people here that I'm sure will stone me. There are very many, they have submissions, but just because I failed to befriend friends, to befriend time rather, I really cannot have their submissions heard at this time. And that means they will really forgive me next time better. And I might not actually appear again if maybe my face had become a bit notorious. And again, I want to thank you for being part. And I always quote that I don't care who my grandfather was, I care about who his grandchild will be. And that means amidst all the encumbrances and the hiccups we are meeting, we are indeed supposed to continue soaring high in this new venture of technology. Like someone asserted, it's been there, but we want to know and believe we have now ushered it in a special manner. So I want to thank you so much as I welcome the chief host. Of course, I cannot read everything on the CV and we finish in time, but she is the chief host. She is the head of the institution. That means that. And as part of the panelists, she has her submission, and then she will continue and have her final remarks with a concluding prayer. My name is Munzira Crispus. I am a staff at Bishop Stuart University, Science Education Department. I know my head of department is listening, Madam Mary Biarugaba, and I lecture in physics unit, and a student as well at Mbarara University of Science and Technology doing Masters of Physics, specializing in electronics, and I want to venture in artificial intelligence. Again, the patron debate society of this university, which I am very sure all of you here have heard of the forum, that is the debate society, Bishop Stuart University, because we are really soaring high. And we thank the university having taken time to invest in debates. We believe that if words are wisely used, they can change the world. Maybe we are weak, we can't fight, but we shall use our tongues to bring change in education system, because I am sure that no country can develop beyond its education system. So for such gatherings, I am very fine, because we are looking at how to better the education system following the new normal. The Vice Chancellor, Bishop Stuart University, you are welcome.
Thank you very much, Mr. Crispus Munzira. And I want to say, Munzira, the one you see here is at an international level as far as debate is concerned. He's an award winner at the African level, he won. And then he went to Commonwealth universities and he won, he came with an award. And as far as Bishop Stuart University, we are now well known in the region as the best debaters. We cannot take this one for granted. Our law students are there, all other areas are represented, and there was none other than Munzira to host this debate, being the one in charge of debates in Bishop Stuart University, but also hosting national events of debate in this country. So Munzira, you deserve a very big hand clap, and we thank you so much. Thank you for being very innovative and being there for BSU. And for being mentored in BSU as well. I want also to appreciate Dr. Peace Msimenta and the team from Makerere for the collaboration. But most importantly, I want to thank the Vice Chancellor of Makerere University, Professor Nawangwe. Thank the Deputy Vice Chancellor, Finance and Administration, Professor Mazeyo, who really has been a partner for long. Professor Mugambi, the Executive Director, Uganda Vice Chancellor's Forum. I thank Professor Matthew, the Isbat University. DC, I have visited him, he's my friend, we chat several times, and he's willing that we partner. I also want to appreciate Mr. Ben Rihinda. Thank you very much from Inter University Council for East Africa. He's the guru for ICT, and I want to encourage all of you, always check, especially students, on the website of ICEA. There are very many calls for enhancing your academics, masters and PhDs. Please take a look on that website. You will not lack. And thank you for the information you have shared. There was also Dr. Ben Mutasiwa from Inter University Council for East Africa. I also saw him. Professor Wamara of Makerere Directorate of Graduate Research and Training. Thank you so much for being with us. And you can see this debate has given us information we would not have gotten maybe if we just went and interviewed people one-on-one, because now we are getting global views and global approach. We are very grateful. CPA Obed Mpwerire, thank you very much. We have one of ours, Reverend Gashom Nomwezi, who is giving us information that even the Church of Uganda has already set up the IT unit, and also the Northern Core Diocese. They are in the debate. He's attending the debate. Bishop Right Reverend Stephen Namanya, the Bishop of Northern Core Diocese, thank you for being part of this debate. I know you are an academician, you are part of us. Our very own Right Reverend Dr. Fred Shendon Mwesigwa, he was part of this debate, but we are soon calling you for another one. Actually, this one I'm requesting you attend on 23rd of October. Book the date. We are having another debate on strategic planning. How should a university that is church founded at the owner's level, how should it look like now? This is one of the key information I've received, but we need you. We need you to come and participate and keep your views. Because as a Christian university, we must move on. I want to let you know, Bishop Stuart University, we have a collaboration with the Trinity Western University in Canada. You have heard of the first center which you have seen. The first center is basically our collaboration. They have supported us. Very soon our program is going to run. You can study in Bishop Stuart University and you are doing Canadian programs. What does that mean? When you study here, you are free to go to Canada. You will have free visa to go to Canada as long as you are in PhD. This is very great. We will have both undergraduate and masters. They have already visited us from National Council. We are waiting for a letter from them. And the programs in Canada, the Trinity Western University is a similar university with similar ethos like us. And I can assure you will not go wrong. When in Canada, unemployment is 4.5%. So which means whoever studies in the BSU and is part of the program already has a job in Canada. So that is something we can embrace as parents. And as listeners, you can come for a master's. The doors are open. But also, we want to really appreciate the networks that have been. Because there are others we have, like Renew. We are part of the Renew network in SU. MTN has already given us 0 rating. Government of Uganda, we really want to appreciate the president. I know all of us. By the way, who is the government? We are the government. When I see comments keep coming, say the government, we are the government. We must make a difference, we as government. Because government, it is us, it is the government of the people. You are the one who put in government, and so we are the one who must sustain it. Now my call on you and me is that you must be there to support the innovations of government and move together. Let's ask a question, what can I do for the government? Not what can government do for me? Because like now in COVID, government has given guidelines. Government is pushing all it can. It has put teams to ensure we are safe. It has given us standard operating procedures. It has given us a day like National Council, National Council for Education. Professor Meno Kwakora has been there to support us, call us for meetings. Professor Mugambe has called us as Uganda Vice Chancellor's Forum. We are all ready for the 4th industrial revolution. I agree with the premise. We have challenges. Like any other place, we are a developing country. We are developing Africa. But as someone said, we are the gold of the world now. Therefore, let us embrace technology. We move together because 50% is better than 0%. If we say people cannot all go online, at least you will have 50% access rather than having a 0 or 10%. So members, we are not saying people are not disadvantaged. There are many people who are disadvantaged. Even us here, who are one time disadvantaged, you know what it means. But how do we move now? Let us embrace this one. And we are saying like Oderu. Oderu means that you can study online, but you can also be a distance learner. We have distance learning. We are developing modules. You can access information on modules. We shall even get printouts. It may be costly, but we are going there. So please embrace technology and to also remain part of the digital world. Otherwise, we shall remain behind. Let us not keep lamenting of when we shall reach there. It is you and me who must take the step to reach where we are going. Destination is in God's hands, but also He has given you the will to determine how we move. As I conclude, I want to really appreciate all the panelists. Honestly, we appreciate you. Kumoshabe, thank you very much. You have a nice name. Prima, thank you very much. Professor Semakura, thank you very much. All the presenters who have been there, thank you, VCs, for the support. And thank you for the network. Like right now, after this, when we open for finalists, we shall have another debate. So watch the space. We want to engage. People were asking questions, how our parents get to know, how our students going to get to know. We have agreed that we shall call what we call a media brief. Very soon, we agreed next week, public relations is handling as Bishop Stuart University. We have agreed that we are going to put in media and call our students and sensitize them. We have run a survey. The survey is ongoing, Dr. Wamara. It is on. We are trying to reach our students to give us their views on access of online teaching because it's a research. But also Bishop Stuart University, we have already done one. So far, 91% of our students are saying yes, we study online. Still, the challenges remain, as previously you have said, and all other presenters, they are there, but we must see how best we can work with them to show that we have gone out there. We even put a measure. We said we shall use a church, we shall use mosque, we shall use even those schools, areas. If students can congregate there, depending on where they come from, and to make sure we reach them, to reach those who cannot be reached online, we are going to reach them. So I want to really assure you, let us move. The whole issue, by the way, we are not reading because the research should go to the research has a direction. It can be positive or negative. There is no harm in it. But for the future of a Ugandan child and a Ugandan who is looking at the future of tomorrow, we must embrace online, and our kids don't miss out. Our people don't miss out. And for the girl child, it feels so bad when you see our girls are getting married at an early stage. We know some of them have already gotten married. And it is a cultural norm. If a woman is not studying, she should have gotten married. So the same mentality is following us even in lockdown. They feel because lockdown is not ending, therefore get married. And girls who have accepted, they have gotten married. Some of them are a source of livelihood for their families to look for food. So men have come ready to give money in order for their family to survive. And girls have gone and gotten married. So the girl child is very vulnerable. You have seen what is happening as far as domestic violence is. We are really concerned that there is no money in the country. But let me tell you, lockdown of education is actually an enhancer of further poverty. But if you open schools and people start engaging, they will have a value for their money, and even priorities will change. I thank you. Thank you very much. Those who are in the kitchen cooking, the IT team, we know you are doing very well. Munzir and the team, may God bless you all. Our God reigns.
Thank you very much, Professor. And I will invite you again to have a closing prayer with us. And I want to eat a humble pie. Or in other words, I want to apologize, having gone past time that you knew. Please, thank you for giving us your data. Professor, you're welcome for a concluding prayer.
Okay, let's pray. Heavenly Father, we thank you so much for this wonderful time and for this debate. Thank you for everyone who has participated. Lord, we pray that you replenish where they have taken from, their time, their data, and also their knowledge, oh God. We pray that God save us as a country, save us as a nation, and save the entire world out of this pandemic of COVID. God, we believe that you are the only one who has the hand to deliver us from the hand of the enemy. We pray that God of heaven, you bless our institutions. In the name of Jesus Christ, we have prayed. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. I want to use the powers conferred upon me by Bishop Stuart University, Makerere University, and the government of Uganda, definitely. I want to close this. May God bless you so much.
God bless you too.
God bless you.